What's up guys, welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and in today's video we start a new series which looks to cover different areas of chess tactics. They say that chess tactics make up about 99% of chess, so it's nearly impossible to focus on tactics and not improve your game. Many people have asked me how they can improve at chess the fastest, and tactics is my answer every single time. Once you improve at tactics, you're going to start seeing more combinations and ideas in your own games, and your overall vision of the game will improve. Today we're going to specifically cover back rank checkmates. This refers to when you deliver a checkmate to the opponent's king when they are on the back rank. 8th rank if you're playing with white, and the 1st rank if you're playing with black. In these videos, I don't just want to make up random positions, but show real games played by real players that led to real wins. Today we're going to see examples from 4 grandmaster level games, the first being from Judit Polgar, who is arguably the greatest female chess player of all time. Here Polgar, playing with the white pieces, continued with queen h4, a very strong move, really looking to play rook c7, ganging up on that knight with both our rook and our now very active queen on h4. So here in this position, black played knight bd5, which at first sight looks very strong. This is a very nice outpost for the knight, and on top of that, it prevents our rook from coming to c7. But this actually turns out to be a huge mistake, because this knight no longer defends that square on c8, and we're simply able to play rook c8 with check, throwing our rook down the board. Notice here how the king has nowhere to move, so in this position black is forced to take the rook, and we're able to play queen d8 with checkmate. We have ourselves a game over. Our second example comes from a game played by Henry Bird, an older player in the 1800s who really did contribute a lot to the game of chess. Here he was playing with the white pieces, and black played the move queen takes e4, which yet again looks like a pretty good move, at least at first sight. You're winning a pawn, you're now attacking that knight on f5, and some may wonder, is white in trouble here? Well, yet again, this turns out to be a blunder, because we're now able to play queen takes f6 with check, simply giving up our queen. Notice how if king g8 is played, we can play queen g7 or knight h6, and we simply have a checkmate in one there. And following rook takes f6, we now play rook d8 with check. We now see the king on that back rank. It cannot get out because of our knight on f5, and black could play moves like queen e8 or rook f8, but we're simply going to take those pieces off, and yet again we see another back rank checkmate for white. Now this is a more difficult move to find for white, but I really did want to show this because not all back rank ideas end with checkmating the black king. Sometimes you threaten to checkmate on the back rank, and out of that you win a piece, you win a pawn, you get some kind of long-term advantage. This game was played by Veselin Topalov, one of the strongest players in the last 20 years, and here he played as white the move bishop e4. Absolutely crazy idea. I mean, in this position, we're attacking the knight on d3, the very key idea of attacking that square on h7. Notice how yet again that king really can't get out if we do manage to get a back rank check. And we're also attacking both the rook on b8 and the rook on e7. However, at the same time, we are literally allowing black to take any of our major pieces. I mean, all of our pieces are hanging here, including our bishop on e4, our rook on b5, and our rook on a7. So let's cover why on earth Topalov literally offered every minor and major piece in this position. Well, first off, if black takes either of the rooks, they're simply going to lose to a back rank checkmate. First off, if rook takes a7 is played, we have a mate in one with rook takes b8, and this king cannot get out. So rook takes a7 doesn't work. What about rook takes b5? Well, in this case, we simply play rook a8 check, and yet again, that king cannot get out. Black could play moves like rook b8 or rook e8, but in that case, again, we're simply going to take those rooks off the board. Game over. And finally, what happens if black doesn't take either of the rooks, but simply captures our bishop on e4? Well, in this case, we no longer have a back rank mate, but as simply one endgame, as we're able to play rook takes b8 with check. Notice how we gave up a bishop, but got our rook in return. And on top of that, following king h7, we're going to snatch up another pawn. Here we're up 2 pawns in the endgame, plus the exchange. This position is resignable for black. So again, guys, going back to this original position, I mean, bishop e4 is a very difficult move to find. I'm not really sure I would have found it if I'm being completely honest with you. Again, black cannot take any of our major or minor pieces, and if black does play a move like rook back to e8, simply hanging on to that back rank, we simply say thank you for the knight, and white is simply winning. So following the move bishop e4, black simply resigned. And guys, our fourth and final position is played yet again by Veselin Topalov. Here he is playing with the black pieces, and I'm actually going to let you guys pause the video and try to find black's best move here. How can black use the idea of a back rank checkmate to go on and have a better game or even win the game very quickly? Well, assuming you guys have paused the video and tried to find the best continuation for black, some of you guys may have been tempted to play the move queen e1 check, which looks like a very strong move. I mean, if rook takes e1, we simply capture back with the rook, forcing that queen to f1, and we have ourselves a game over. The issue with playing queen e1 check is that white doesn't need to take the queen, but it can instead just play the move queen f1, now attacking the queen with both the queen and the rook. And in this position, black is going to have to run away with something like queen d2 or queen e3, or capture the queen on f1, in which case white's simply going to capture back, and it's actually white now that has the better game. They are down a pawn, but also up the exchange for a rook and a bishop. So y'all, going back to this position, queen e1 does not work because of queen f1, but the move that does work is bishop h6, simply attacking that queen on f4. Notice how in this position, if this queen moves anywhere, say to f3 or f1 or g3, we're simply going to take that rook on c1. So here in this position, white actually took the bishop, and now as we can see, this queen can no longer come back to f1. Basically what we did here, guys, was give up a bishop, distract the queen, and now we're able to play queen e1 with check. Idea being, after rook takes e1, Topalov ended off this game with rook takes e1, checkmate, and here we have ourselves a game over. And yet again, guys, going back to this move, bishop h6, white didn't need to take that bishop. I'm actually a little bit confused on why white did. I mean, white could have played a move like queen g3, looking to put some defensive pressure on that e1 square. And again, in this case, we're simply going to win the exchange with bishop takes c1 and rook takes c1. And now we're simply up one pawn in this position. Black can continue with a move like queen e5, and I do think that Topalov would have went on to easily win this game since he's such a high level caliber player, but it does give white more of a fighting chance. Needless to say, before we played bishop h6, we were down a material. Now we are up a material with great chances to win. If you guys would like to see our chess opening strategy video on rook lifts, click the video to the left. If you'd like to watch our top 10 chess openings for black against the move d4, click the video to the right. Leave a comment below to let me know what other videos you'd like to see covered on this channel. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.